All right, welcome to episode 31 of Security Matters with the Coffee Squad. Today we are joined with Jake.
Good morning, everyone.
And a special guest, Ethan. He's a HVT, high value target type guy, and we'll get to know him better in a little bit. Before we get started, I want to reiterate our outline. What we're doing is we're going to start with talking about what we drink. Then we're going to have a few questions of the week, and then we'll get into an article or two, and then we'll get on to our main topic with Ethan. So today we are talking about high value targets and security with Ethan, and Ethan is a former Army MP, don't hold it against him, including the SRT team. He spent 6 years with the Department of Energy on the SRT teams. I actually met Ethan when I was going to school at UNCW down at CMS, and you know, being vets and kind of advanced in our age compared to the rest of the people there, we kind of gravitated towards each other and got to know each other. So Ethan, why don't you give me a little bit about information about yourself?
Yeah, well, just to kind of reiterate what Will said, spent some time in the Army, 99 to 2004. Last year of my contract, I was on an SRT. Just to remain in chronological order. Got out of the Army, got my undergrad in political science, and then after I finished my undergrad, was picked up by Department of Energy for an SRT position. And then, just like Will said, we met while I was in grad school getting my master's in business administration at UNCW at the Center for Marine Science. And it's been nothing but the best ever since.
Yeah. All right, Jake, what are you drinking this morning?
What am I not drinking? You know,
Hopefully alcohol. It's still pretty early.
hey, it's 2020, man.
Hey, I reached for my water this morning, right? I'm drinking one of your liqueurs, whatever you call it,
Yep.
and it was sitting right next to a beer I have in there, and I accidentally grabbed the beer and was about ready to pop it open before I realized what it was. I was like, oh wait, I can't have that. I got to put that back.
At least it wasn't like a cracked open beer sitting in your fridge.
I mean, you can't
totally
let that
deflated,
go to waste, so.
and you're chugging it. You know, I mean,
I
I could tell stories about Afghanistan and Gatorade bottles, but we're not going to go there today. Or dip bottles too. Yeah. So what am I drinking? I'm drinking an AHA just because I have some still left. So what is this flavor? It's a strawberry cucumber. And then I got my water here, man. So I've been doing that keto diet pretty good, except for when you and I had lunch there the other day, and I was like a crackhead slamming some Coke. But when you have Mexican food, you have to have a Coke. That is or a beer. So I started drinking this this powder. It's called Everly. So it helps with like your gut health and everything, and there's not any sugar in it. So pretty good little grape little powder. So that's what's in here. Mixed with some salt and stuff. If anyone's done the keto diet, you kind of get the headaches in the first few weeks and that kind of stuff. So a bunch of salt and magnesium thrown in there too. So cool. I'm trying to get ready for Danny's paddle, man. It's going to be miserable.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, better you than me.
Yeah. So, Ethan, what are you drinking, man?
Man, I don't. I've got a Coke right here.
Yeah. See?
Oh wait, I don't know if I can show that on the. Can I show that on the camera?
Yeah, you can.
You didn't show the label. We're not sponsored.
You know
we're
what?
not monetized.
When you said that, I just spilled my AHA. But this is made. I think. Hold on. It's either Coke or Pepsi that makes this one. Coca-Cola Company.
I think Coke does AHA.
Yeah. And now I just spilled it all over the desk computer. So if you hear a little something, I'm going to mute my mic for a minute while I clean this wet mess up. Will, what are you drinking, man?
All right, so today I am drinking, like I said, a liqueur. I'm drinking a watermelon. It's not bad. You know, it keeps me refreshed, I guess. And I'm also drinking my standby Guatemalan roast from a local roastery around here. It's a medium roast, kind of, hints of nuts and little cocoa on the back end. It's pretty good. I enjoy it. I'm kind of given a hard time. I'm the coffee nerd or whatever of the group, so, well, that's what they say. I don't think I'm that coffee nerdy. I just enjoy a good cup of coffee. I don't add anything to it. I drink it black, but,
All right, man. I'm a big fan. So, dropping computers, dropping mouses. This is going to be turning into like a little comedy show right now.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and move while you're cleaning up to question of the week. So, Ethan, what is your favorite gun to shoot?
My favorite gun to shoot?
Yeah.
Oh, the list is just so long. I don't know. Mark 19, Mark 48, Barrett 50 caliber. I mean, all those are a lot of fun, but I don't know. Really, honestly, I just like pistoleering, man. I like getting on the range with a pistol and, pushing myself on accuracy and doing some accuracy drills, maybe doing some speed drills as well in there. And I think that's probably my favorite, really, is pistoleering at the range.
Jake, how about you? Okay. So I think Jake's having some technical difficulties. He probably swamped his thing. So let's 9:37. We'll go ahead and pause it, and then Jake, you back yet? I'll edit all this out. So
yeah, and also, man, if you want me to toggle my mic, I can do that, man. That way I can just go off.
yeah, if you want to toggle it, and that way you'll have more control. That's probably better. Yeah.
Yeah, because that way I can just break in without,
Yeah.
signaling you right now.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. You got me?
Yeah. You done swamping your equipment?
Man, my headphones are super low now.
What? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me, Jake? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, but it's Will's super low now.
What about now?
It's better.
It's better.
Yeah. We may have to start this again.
We can start again, or I can edit it out, whatever you want to do.
All right, give me 1 sec, man. Mess with some settings real quick and see if that helps.
Do you have a volume on your headphones?
Yeah, I was just messing with them. Keep
Like
talking.
mine, I actually have a buttons on the headphones that I can do the volume on the headphones with by clicking that. I don't know if you have that on yours or not.
Yeah, I got you good now.
Okay.
So
You know, sucking on that jewel over there, Ethan?
Fuck.
Can you hear that? You can't hear that. My mic was muted.
I observe things.
This is a great thing about not being live, right? So maybe let's start over with what you're drinking, Will.
Okay. You ready? And then I'll edit all this
I'm good,
crap
man.
out. So
Sorry, guys.
you ready, Ethan? Okay. Start. I'll wait till 12. Okay. All right, Jake. So, what are you drinking this morning?
Man, Will, you know what I'm drinking. It's nothing but water. Some
What
kind of
kind of
sparkling
water?
water, some kind of flavored water.
What kind of sparkling foo-foo flavored water that you're going to put your pinky up? Well, not. I'm drinking one too, but whatever.
Yeah, there we go. See, it's a trend.
But I have man
trendsetter.
fuel next to me, so.
Well, good. So I'm drinking the AHA strawberry cucumber today, and then of course I got my big old thing of water here. So, and that's full of the Everly Grape, little Billy Health, grape flavored drink. So lots of salt, lots of magnesium in there. I think I told you I started the keto diet, except for the other day when we had Mexican food together and was slamming Coke like a crackhead. But,
I'm on a cheeseburger cleanse right now.
good, man. I mean, on the keto diet, man, you can do cheeseburgers all day long. You just can't have the bun.
Can't do the buns, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's super low carb. So just trying to get in shape.
I can't do the keto diet. It's too high in fat, and I don't have a gallbladder, so I can't.
My wife
keto.
doesn't have a gallbladder.
Yeah.
And she's doing it. Not,
Oh, really?
not that she needs
She's
to
not
lose
having any
weight.
issues, or
No, but some people do. I mean,
Yeah.
Look, only reason I'm doing a diet is to drop weight super quick to get ready for this paddle out in California. Anyone who knows me, man, like since I've been out, man, I just yo-yo. So I
do
yo-yo
too.
up and down in weight. But, just trying to get in the best shape I can. So as long as I'm not hanging out with you, Will, going to Mexican
That's
restaurants.
me. You're the
It
one
was
who
your
picked
fault,
it.
man. You wanted Mexican. Hey, all my shortfalls, Will, are your fault.
Sure, blame me. Why not?
Yeah, I blame Will. I blame Will too for all my
Thank you.
problems.
See, I mean,
Nothing but a troublemaker, man.
yeah, I mean, Will, just wait till you meet the wife and the family. Then my whole family's like, yeah, I understand it's Will's fault. So,
Yep.
you know,
Be in the
everyone
doghouse
has to
right from the
have a solid
shoot. Yep.
scapegoat friend. That,
Hey, that's what I'm there for.
well, good. Ethan, what are you drinking, man?
I'm having a wonderful soda pop. You can see.
You can brand. We're not monetized or anything. They're
That's right. Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Nice. Oh,
Not
Coke,
yet.
man.
Maybe one day.
See, if I was hanging out with Ethan right now, I'd probably try to steal a sip of his Coke. So,
Oh, yeah. Coke's definitely my go-to.
all right, Will, now that you gave me crap about my foo-foo sparkling water and everything else, let's hear about your gourmet coffee.
I'm drinking a black cup of coffee. No, it's from one of our local roasters here. It's a medium roast Guatemalan. Nice little flavor. Nut flavor on the back end. I know you like that. And I got also a beautiful La Croix.
See? Don't
It's
judge,
a watermelon. It's
Yeah.
dangerous, these cans, because, well, I don't drink like water beer like other people. I am a beer
Like-
snob.
like
I
Dave?
I will admit that I am a beer snob, and so I have some. Those cans are usually pretty colorful and decorated, and I went to grab my water before I came in here and accidentally grabbed the beer and almost popped that open.
Accidentally. Yeah, that's what
So
everyone says.
had to put it back before
Accidentally.
I got going.
Hey, man, it's okay, dude. It's 2020, man. Like,
Yeah.
like
5 o'clock
everyone used to
somewhere,
say
now
it's
it's
5 o'clock
2020
somewhere. Now, if
yeah.
you just say it's 2020, everyone's like, man, totally got it, man. Go ahead, man. Have a bender for the day. Let's talk about your little beer thing, man. Are you doing like a fall brew at all?
We just made a batch 2 weeks ago. It'll be ready in like 10 days.
Okay. Did you do like some pumpkin spice? Or?
No, I don't do. I don't do the pumpkin.
Oh, you just do that with your coffee, though.
I don't do the pumpkin anything.
Oh, okay.
I don't
You
get
sure?
flavored coffee. I'm kind of. I mean, the flavors that I'm talking about are from the beans themselves. It's not added flavor. So
Gotcha.
the beer we made was a hazy IPA though, so that'll be
Okay.
nice.
Nice, man. That's cool. You gonna have Ethan come over like when you crack it open and
Sure, I'll have everybody come over. I'll invite you too.
I hope so. I mean,
yeah.
we're practically BFFs at this point, so
Yeah.
Well, cool. So, we're dudes, and you don't have to be a dude just to shoot a gun. I know, like, my wife loves to shoot, but I will kind of pose this question. So, what's your favorite gun to shoot?
well, the list is just so long. HK 69 grenade launcher, Mark 19. I don't know, Barrett 50 cal. No, I don't know. I really, at the end of the day, man, I just love pistoleering. Love, trying to keep that skill set at least somewhat active, right? Perishable skills. And,
It's so lost if you don't do it, man.
yeah. So yeah, man, just go through some good accuracy and speed drills.
Okay. What's your favorite pistol?
I got a Glock. I've been on a Glock 19 lately.
Yeah.
And, I like it. I like the way it shoots. It's fun,
Look,
So-
in my opinion, I mean, that's what we carried when I was in. And I think it's a great gun. Everyone wants to talk about a polymer frame and how fast they go through. You can destroy it. Like, I don't think people are going to shoot nearly as much as we shot and put rounds down through that thing.
Right. Exactly.
Look, if you're a civilian, you're putting that much, that many rounds down range, and you have that kind of time, you can afford to buy a new Glock. So
Yeah.
I'm a big Glock fan. I'm a big SIG fan also. So
Yeah. And I mean, really, if you're just going to, unless you're going to spend $1,000, I mean, probably the
And
best
I
bang for your
have,
buck
like,
is a Glock.
Oh yeah.
yeah, I got a Kimber Ultra Pro carry, and honestly, like I carry the Glock. So it's just, I don't know. It's what I was trained with, constantly used all the time. So I'm super familiar.
It's
with
what you're
it.
comfortable
So,
with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's like the biggest thing, man. Everyone is always like, "Hey, what about this?" It's like, what are you really comfortable with?
And
Man?
people
That's
ask
what
the
you
same
that's what
thing.
you should carry.
They ask all the time, "Oh man, what kind of gun should I get?" I'm like, "Man, guns are like women, or if you're a woman, or like man, or whatever, person
Whatever
that you want
floats
to
your
date." So Man, you like how I kind of skirted that PC line right there? That's pretty good.
Yeah, he skirted it.
But, guns are like someone you want to date. Some people like heftier, thicker people. Some people like tiny little people, and there's everything in between. So my advice to anyone buying a gun, especially a pistol, is go to a range or a gun store that has an indoor range where you can go try, Glocks, H&K, SIGs, any gun system that you want, a little pistol that they carry, and shoot them all, because you may be favoring a Glock, and then you try the SIG and you're like, holy crap, this is a great gun, or you go to an H&K, so whatever it is. So try guns out, just like most people don't marry their first girlfriend or boyfriend. So try multiple, you might see something that you like. Will's dying laughing right now, man.
Yeah, man, you're right, bro. You're good.
Yeah, Will, what's your favorite gun?
So, like,
if you say the Big Berth, I'm done, man. I'm gonna walk out of the podcast.
You think about like the 40 Mike and all that stuff, but my favorite one from my time in the military was the M240 Bravo, because I was a gunner, so I humped it everywhere. So I really enjoyed that one. The MG3 is awesome. That's the Germans machine gun 7.62. Yep. But, obviously being out, all I shoot now, I really like my 357 revolver. That's just old standby. It's just, I love it.
Old school cop.
You can't go wrong
man.
with it. What's that?
It's that old school cop right there.
Oh yeah, it's just a great gun. But actually, I just bought a newer one, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm partial to Glock because that's what we carried and that's what we trained with for so much. But I really like this. I've got an Honor Defense 9mm, and I'm really enjoying that right now. And
Nice.
That's a veteran-owned company down in Georgia. And I really like them. So
Sweet.
it's kind of my first Gucci gun. I got the slot, the barrel painted
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So
Nice.
what about you?
Nice,
What's your
nice.
favorite?
So
I know
being
you
a
like the
weapons
Glock,
sergeant
but-
in SF, man, I've shot every kind of gun you could probably think of. But I'll tell you the one that I loved having the most.
The saw.
I didn't mind the saw. So we had
I
like the
hated
mini
the saw.
saws, the condensed saws.
Hated the saw.
Again, we like our primary weapon system for the most part on the team. Like everyone just carried their M4 and their pistol, and depending on the climate, like there's times I carry the 240, there's times I carry a saw. But my favorite gun is the minigun. I was lucky enough early in my career to go out to Dillon Aero, and mess around for a week, learn the ins and outs of that gun, and that gun is absolutely spectacular. 3,000 rounds a minute, man. Just looks like a big ball of hate and fire coming at you. And when it hits you, man, it does some wonderful things to the enemy. So, and I won't talk about that here, but yeah, love that gun. For everyday carry, again, man, a Glock 19, Glock 26, some SIGs. So, I don't know. I'm not discriminatory against guns. I love them all.
You can say you're partial to High Point. It's okay.
Yeah. There you go.
My favorite support has got to be the A10 though.
That's a low blow, Will. How are you gonna throw my man under the bus like that, dude? God.
Will's full of hate today, and that's all right.
Caffeine and hate. That's what we survive on, right?
Yeah,
Veterans.
that's what keeps people going. So,
All right. Articles.
So yeah, one thing I know, and I'm glad, Ethan, like you're a poli-sci guy, so am I. And so I don't know if our listeners are kind of like tired of me always talking about stuff going on around the globe and like different little flare-ups. But one thing that struck me was it over the weekend or later end of last week? You're not getting a whole lot of following on this or anything here really a whole lot in the U.S., but Armenia and Azerbaijan are like kicking it up. Shelling each other, bombing each other, destroying each other's tanks, shot down a few helicopters. And so right now on the BBC, they're probably one of the few like English-speaking outlets out there that's done a decent job tracking this. But they've had a few hundred confirmed deaths on the Armenian side, and that's not just troops. A lot of civilians as well. The Azerbaijan, they're not listing any of theirs right now, but experts are expecting it to be the same. And then Turkey's back in one, Russia's back in the other. So now you have the NATO-Russia Cold War kind of possibly going back to a feud. So it's to me it's really interesting of kind of going back to that ethnicity thing too of Reminds me a little bit of what was it, Croatia, Serbia, and Croatia back in the day. So just something that I find interesting, kind of going on over there, and could be scary. Depends on who gets involved. I know Turkey and Russia are both kind of denying involvement and trying to make peace along with France. So just to me, it was a little interesting. I mean, have you guys seen anything on that on your end?
I've read a little bit about it, but not a lot. I know like Turkey's kind of having issues with a bunch of people over there right now. It seems like in the Middle East and Mediterranean. So
their relationship with us is pretty salty. Greece is salty. So they're a NATO ally, I think, in words and on paper, but that's probably about it. So, Ethan, what's your thoughts, man?
I mean, I think it's just it is interesting that we don't hear about as much of that in the mainstream media in this country, but it is, I guess, one immediate thought to my mind is just to be thankful that we live in a stable society where we're not really worried about that stuff, so
yeah.
Our media is dominated by COVID and elections, especially this time of year, almost November and stuff. So that seems like all you hear about is the elections, and they're picking apart every little thing about what these two guys said. And there's stuff around the world where people are fighting and dying, and you barely get a glimpse of it unless you go to, like Jake said, BBC or Al Jazeera or something like that. So
yeah, I mean, I think this would have been a great question at the debates, right? Like, and I don't want to sit here and talk about the debate and what happened there, but like when you look at global and geopolitics, Azerbaijan and Armenia don't have a whole lot to offer, right? They're not a Saudi Arabia, they're not in Iraq, they don't have a whole lot to offer the rest of the globe. So
well, that definitely probably plays a part in it too, yeah.
So. Well, and I think the other thing that's kind of left out of, if you want to talk on that geopolitical level, is that generally speaking, other governments around the world are constantly vying for resources or power or something, and it's nice, like I said earlier, it's kind of nice to be in a position where we don't have to experience that too much locally, but these conflicts are going on constantly. There's always this constant battle or war between somewhere and someone that we just don't really hear that much about, man.
Yeah, I think unless it affects like the average person, right? Like oil prices or the minerals to make microprocessors and that kind of stuff. If it doesn't affect your country or your way of life a whole lot, not to say kind of who cares is the right answer, but hey, it's their problem, right? Let them figure it out.
Yeah, well, and then sometimes we get involved here and there, and then because we got to pick sometimes we're forced to pick a side, our country's forced to pick a side, and so on and so forth. But anyways,
Will, what do you got? Hopefully, it's some good news. I kind of just drug us down like a dark hole.
I mean, not really. I mean, it kind of depends on how you look at it. I was just reading an article where Facebook is banning ads that seek to legitimize the U.S. elections. So anything where, if there's anything saying, oh, the election's a fraud or whatever, they're kind of banning it. And, I don't know if I think it's a good idea or bad idea. Me personally, I don't like it, but I see why they're doing it, because people tend to not do their own research and believe anything they read. And so that could incite further incidences, I guess you could say. So, yeah, it's kind of in that teeter of, is it free speech or is it?
So I'm there with you, man.
Violence?
I think it's free speech, but it's also a private company, and so
it's a private company, yeah.
And so, in my opinion, look, if you are a user and you don't like that, go use a different platform. Or get off whatever social media you're on. Let's try to stay away from the politics as much as we can here. We are in the middle of an election season. It doesn't matter. Like, whatever side you're on. What I'm seeing a lot more kicking up on social media is like push for a third-party candidate. Like, look, this is why we need a third-party candidate.
Oh, definitely.
But it's neither side's going to be happy. someone's always going to be pointing the finger. It's politics. And as we saw the other night, it's politics aren't pretty these days. It kind of reminds me of some of like the old like Russian movie, the Cold War movies that you'd see with like Russian politics of people throwing down, getting in fights with each other.
Yeah, you watch like parliaments in like South America or even Europe, and they're like throwing chairs, and you're like, what?
Oh yeah.
So I mean,
all over South America, like it's, I think we're like a small step away from that here.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, politicians here used to duel, so
maybe we bring that back. Maybe
why not go back? I'm joking, right?
Maybe we bring that back, and it'll bring a little bit of civility and a little bit of I don't know, like, hey, tone it down, man. A few people getting shot, going to the hospital. You may live, you may die, but hey, I'm not here supporting violence whatsoever. So we're just joking about the dueling. So let's jump into high value targets. I think it's a great thing. Last week we talked about GSX, and we've talked about some other stuff, leadership, and training, the importance of it. And I think, when you look at leadership and you look at training, to me, there isn't a better place where those two kind of combine than when you look at high value targets and what it takes to secure them. So, Ethan, I know there's things we can't talk about and we will not bring up on the show. So can you kind of walk us through like what led you to go kind of that route after your time in the Army as an MP, and then the things you can't talk about, like what it was like securing a high value target facility?
Well, I had the SRT experience, and that's kind of like a big deal as well, to kind of be on another SRT, right?
Do you mind
nice if you have some type of
SRT is to our listeners?
It's the same thing as like a SWAT team. I mean, there's all different types of acronyms, right? I think FBI calls their stuff hostage rescue team and HRT, but generally speaking, they're all, all these teams have the same set of potential missions, right? From barricaded suspect to hostage rescue to something along those lines, right? But probably one of the biggest qualifiers was when you want to be on a Department of Energy SRT, the weapons qualifications are really high. That's a very high standard of accuracy and speed involved there. And usually, if somebody has that background, then it makes those quals a little bit easier to maintain, right? But yeah, that's kind of how it went,
Just fell into place.
Got into it, got out of college at the exact time that people were hiring, and that's that, right?
Okay. So I'm sure there's different nuances, with those high value threat targets that are out there, and you're looking at, different threats against it, right? Whether it's a terrorist group or a local militia, whatever it is, it could be a Greenpeace group. How did you guys kind of go about looking at those threats? What you can talk about. I'm not going to ask you how you defended them, because I'd be giving out stuff that shouldn't be talked about, but identifying those threats, and how did you do a layered security process like most companies do?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting because, a lot of it's just like, you play the what if game. Like, what if this happens? Well, what if 30 people show up? What about if 100 people show up to try and take this stuff or whatever, and so on and so forth. So you can what if it to death, which is really, it's good and bad, right? Because then you're making a lot of assumptions, but at the same time, those assumptions also help people prepare, right? But more specifically, like the layered security kind of idea is probably a good thing to think about. And you can take this, this example could be used in your home, right? Like, let's say you've got a safe that you have important documents in, maybe some things that could be worth money, maybe some things are just have a lot of sentimental value to you with them. you put these things in a safe and you put them upstairs in the attic. Well, now you've got many layers for somebody to go through to try and get that safe, right? They got to get through their they're going to go in the front door. They're going to have to go through the deadbolt. They're going to have to go through the knob lock. There's 2 layers, right? Then they don't know where it is, right? That in itself is kind of like a layer. They got to search out to find the safe that's hidden under your grandmother's jacket in the attic, right? I mean, that's innocent. That bit of concealment can even be counted as a layer. So you can apply that type of principle to a lot of things. Maybe in the police world, you have an evidence room, right? Well, it's interesting because as the importance of whatever that target, that high value target is, as that importance increases, then the layers increase as well. So now we bump this up to like a police station or a provost marshal's office in the military, whatever. You got an evidence room, right? These are very important pieces of evidence in there that need to be, need to remain sterile. No one's can have contact with them. Well, now you've got the front door of the police station as a layer. You got the desk sergeant as a layer. You got patrols there that are as another layer. Then you got another additional locks on the door to the evidence room itself. Then you've probably got like a log that somebody's got to fill out to say that, Joe Smith showed up to check evidence XYZ on Thursday afternoon at 1600 hours, right? So then you got another layer, and it just goes up and up and up and up,
alarm systems and all the other technical.
Yeah, and then you got, when you work at the government level, then it's like, oh, well, now you got to have a clearance. So now the amount of people is restricted even more so as to who would have access to some type of area, right?
I think he said, talked about that very well. For our listeners to understand of, protecting that asset and the different layers, tying it back into your home safe or whatever you value at home, where if you hide it or wherever you put that value. I think you put that very eloquently. So thank you for kind of just painting that picture for our listeners, and those measures. I think it doesn't matter if it's a high value target that you're trying to secure, or your photo album at home, that you don't want anyone taking.
Whatever you consider your asset.
That's your asset. So thanks for doing that. What kind of training?
For like military wise or more SRT stuff?
When you're talking like the SRT stuff,
the high value target type protection type training, yes, right?
Yeah, with security in mind,
really
secure that facility. So I guess what training took you from your time as an MP, and then what training did you do for DOE, Department of Energy, and then what did I guess training did you guys constantly do?
Yeah, so Army MP, right? You go through MP school, work the road, which is nothing but the glory days, right? A lot of that kind of training ends up being on the kind of on the job or on the fly. Every situation can be different when you're, depending on whatever you're responding to, right? But then got involved on an SRT with them as an MP, and that was all that stuff really goes down to a lot of CQB stuff, going over these actions, training to a very high level, while being able to, communicate with others, and, making sure that you're keeping the benefit of the team, right? Number one, right? The benefit of the team over yourself. But it was interesting in SRT. It was one thing I really take away from SRT Phase 1 school in the Army was that they constantly preached, that our job is to save lives. Like that was the core of that training. Was that we protect life through different types of actions, right? So I thought that was really interesting. And then, real honestly, man, when you talk about DOE SRT, it's kind of like the same kind of things. It's just the cool thing about it was that, it was like our house, right? either SRT doesn't matter, right? Like for when I was in the Army, like we trained to protect a hospital, right? We had a hospital on post. Well, that's in our jurisdiction. So we got to know every single thing about that building, how it was laid out, how we're going to do our thing, whether it's going to be, whether we're going to rappel out of a helicopter onto the roof and go down, right? And we want to always keep those types of tactics in mind, right? You want to have a higher elevation, right? I mean, that's kind of more basic stuff, but yeah, repetition and really just keeping that skill set as fresh as possible, man.
Yeah, I think you made an important point there of talking about knowing your asset, right?
Yeah.
So if it's a building, knowing that you said it, knowing the ins and outs. People who haven't done CQB in their life and haven't done it well, it's an orchestrated dance almost. Mm-hmm. Not that each position, those positions constantly flow. Whether you're a 1-man, 4-man, 6-man, it doesn't matter what man number you are, and there's never necessarily a right answer going through it. However, there is
a wrong answer. No.
there definitely is a wrong answer at times, definitely. But the training that it takes to get good and to get fluent, and then not just doing it, every once in a while. It's a skill set, just like we talked about pistol shooting. Like, pistol shooting is part of it, or whatever weapon system or multiple weapon systems you're using. You have to be not just proficient, but extremely proficient with that. So that training that goes in, and then knowing your asset, knowing those ins and outs, I think is, as a security person, like definitely, like if you're in charge of a building, know every way to get in and out of that building, even the little nooks and crannies, all that stuff. So great point.
Yeah, real quick. I mean, all this stuff can be, anyone listening to this podcast can apply to their real life situation in their house, right? I mean, if you're a person that, supports gun ownership and defending your life, well, think about that in your house. Think about think about tactical advantage, right? Think about tactical angles. How, if someone's coming into your house, how can you be in a tactically advantaged position with maybe being able to see them before they can see you or something like that. Anyways.
No, that's a great point.
So what I really liked what you said about the SRT was, where they're there to save lives as opposed to, take lives or whatever. I think, Hollywood and stuff like that, a lot of people kind of get that misconception. I was on a SWAT team, special weapons and tactics. Those special weapons and tactics aren't used to kill people. They're there to save or defuse the situation by special weapons needed or tactics needed. One thing I do find interesting is, as a SWAT team, I'm sure SRT and the MP it's more of an offensive type mindset where you're reacting to a situation at an unknown location, whereas at the DOE you have the defensible position and you're reacting to offensive attacks, right? So was that kind of a different mindset when you switched over from one to the other?
Yes, there is a different mindset. And the way I'd explain it would be to say that military police SRT is more of a law enforcement mission, and if you're doing something like more DOE SRT, that's literally more like an infantry type of mission where you it's not the rules aren't necessarily the same, right? You don't you can't go like to some of these really secure areas that the government protects and you lose certain, you can't be there. You know what I mean? Like pretty much anyone can get on a military installation, but no, like in some of these areas, like you're not allowed there. Like it doesn't matter. Unless you're an essential employee, you're not. You just can't go walk up on these places, right? So yeah, there is definitely a little difference, and I would say that one's more of a military police with more law enforcement. Department of Energy side would be more like an infantry type of mission.
Go, Jake.
So how important for you on the DOE side was it to do like red cell penetration and to get those tests just to say, hey, you know what, this is this is what we did good, and this is areas that we can clean up, or these are areas that we completely failed at. How important were those red team penetration tests for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, they were important. I don't know. Honestly, I don't really want to like mention
Gotcha.
anything about, those were a bunch of 18 series guys that were running around all over the place, checking, doing their vulnerability assessments, right?
Yep.
I think that's an often overlooked part of of security assessments and stuff like that. A lot of companies don't like to do that.
Well, they're expensive.
They're expensive.
And I'll tell you, like, the reason why they are extremely expensive, the amount of planning and effort,
and time,
like, it takes to do one of these. It's not like, hey, Will and Jake, I want you to go up to Wilmington, for example, and let's just try to get in there. It's not that easy. I mean, it takes months and months of preparation, months and months of work. It's just the same thing that the bad guys or someone who's trying to infiltrate where you're going. They're doing the same thing. They're not just that one person who shows up randomly. Well, there's something wrong with them, or they have something to prove or something to pick. Or someone who's literally trying to sabotage and attack something. It's a planned out.
They're playing the long game.
Yeah, and I never experienced this specifically, but the other thing it does is it reveals people's weaknesses, and it can reveal a weakness for a facility. And I think I like I said, I never experienced this, but what I'm saying is that can make some people look bad, and
the ego gets involved.
It's like this. It's like you got to have that. You got to make sure you're like, if you make a mistake in life, right? You got to like own up to it, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think what I tell clients, right, on the civilian side is like, look, we can red team penetrate, when you want. It's going to cost way more than what a security assessment is going to cost. And a security assessment, at least, you're looking at everything. You're taking the whole picture, and you're helping them build up their security measures and protect whatever asset or assets that they have. And so let's work on that first. Let's work on whether it's the offensive or defensive side. Let's work on doing that for you first and get those basic fundamentals done first. And once you feel like, hey, you know what, I'm pretty good. Once you have that warm fuzzy, then go do a red team penetration. If you don't have a warm and fuzzy on your security, don't do a red team penetration. And this is just my opinion, you're just going to spend a ton of money on, you may not know exactly what's going on wrong, but you're just going to have someone tell you basically like, hey, your whole security system, like apparatus as overall is a failure. So if my opinion is, do a security assessment, find out what you need to improve on that. And once you feel you're at a good spot, then let's go ahead and run a red team penetration just to shake out those small little areas. Don't do a red team penetration when everything's wrong, because you're just going to find out that, hey, everything's wrong.
Yep.
Yeah, and speaking broadly, yeah, you should definitely do assessments, right? I mean, you gotta, why have anything in place that you're not going to actually quantify, right? And this is all stuff that's applicable on many different levels. This is applicable in the business world. Like, you don't want everybody knowing what types of decisions are being made by senior management to, advance this company into a more, to generate more revenue, right? That's like kind of like secret sauce, right? You want to keep that kind of in-house.
That's intellectual property you're trying to protect.
Yeah. And so, I mean, what's really interesting about this whole conversation to me, one of the things that kind of came up as I was, mulling things over in my brain is applying these things to business in general. I mean, IT security, data security for a business is very important, and that's going to be one of the, moving forward over the next like 10 years or something like that. That's going to be a huge cost for businesses. They're going to have to pay companies to come in and secure their data. It's just the way it's going to go, because here's the thing, the attacks, like we were talking earlier about those attacks all around the world that are doing all different things, and how much or less they influence us here in this country. But those attacks are never going to stop. Just like the attacks on business on a business's data, like they're not going to stop either. People are going to constantly want to vie for more power, or whatever that motivating factor may be. But
Totally. I mean, cyber attacks are a constant threat, whether it's an individual sitting in his mom's basement or grandma's basement eating Cheetos, you typical think of a hacker, or it's a state-sponsored, hacking group like North Korea, China have phenomenal, so does Russia. If you look at Sony Pictures Entertainment back in, I think it was like 2012, they got hacked pretty good when they were about to come out with that movie on North Korea. And North Korea had, planted backdoors, they did botnets, they did everything on there, and totally just upended Sony Pictures Entertainment system kind of way of life. And they knew, and they had, they had some of their chief security officers were sitting on the boards, national boards of cybersecurity threats. So those threats aren't going away if you are a major actor. We just had a major hospital or insurance company, I think this week was hacked. So, the principles, I think, in physical security and cybersecurity are really the same. Keep them out as far as way, have your detection, kind of have your outer layer fence, right? Like, hey, stay out. And then now you start having your more detection, and then, kind of like your shutoff valve. It's the same thing with physical and cybersecurity. So,
yeah, we just went full circle to the beginning of this conversation when we were talking about layered security of how we've got you got the outer defenses, and it comes in closer. The security measures needs to get a little tighter as that happens, right?
Yeah, and I think as a country as a whole, we are shy just on cybersecurity experts. That's anyone I talk to in the military, they're like, hey, what should I do when I get out? And I'm like, look, man, you're a Green Beret. Like, I hate to hurt your feelings, but you're a dime a dozen out there. You're not as special as that special forces tab on your shoulder makes you in the civilian market. Like, yeah, you're marketable, but my advice is get into cybersecurity. You want a cool job, you want to keep solving problems, you want to kind of look at the future. You're going to have a job in cybersecurity. I find it fascinating. I enjoy learning more about cybersecurity and how it ties into physical security. As our company, we look at, at Freedom Consulting, we look at human, the physical side, and then the technical side. And so when you look at security, all three of those factors usually play a part in some way, shape, or form of an attack or preventing an attack.
Yeah, absolutely, man. 100%.
So I don't know how much you can elaborate on this, but what kind of unique challenges do you face protecting a high value target as opposed to just a regular, I don't want to say regular security company, but I imagine that it'd be a little bit different and there would be some unique challenges. No, maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Hold on. Let me think about this for a second.
I'd say probably the scrutiny.
I mean, you got different.
I guess I can say, I don't know if this is, really in any type of business, I think really.
What about your due diligence, Jake? There you go. I beat you to it.
Insider threat, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. Maybe we can somehow figure that one out, but really just probably some of the highest threat that somebody could experience would be for somebody from the inside, right? I mean, if you have all of these, like, think about it like this: if you got a good layered security plan, you got barricades, well-trained dudes, crew-served weapons, or in the maybe on the technical side of it, right? You've got certain firewalls, you got your LAN, so on. You got all these different layers, but who's really going to? Where's that? This is the threat's almost mitigated from this, right? But if you got someone on the inside that can tear something apart, well, now you got a problem because they're in there, right? So.
No,
I think that's unique about the part, like that type of a high value is unique because they do spend so much time and effort on mitigating the risk from the outside that the insider risk, that level of scrutiny is a lot higher than your typical Fortune 500 company even.
True.
Yeah, I mean,
you do it long.
Your TS clearance, you know, your SF 86 or whatever the Department of Energy is, or the State Department has their own. They all have their TS clearance level. Not that it's that difficult. It's just you're listening to everything you've done. You know, every place you've lived, every contact. If you've had a foreign contact, if you dated if you're a 7th group guy, if you dated multiple girls in Colombia and Peru and South America, like that kind of stuff, those long-term relationship stuff, that gets put on there, one of the biggest things I know that they look for is financial stability. If you are in debt over your eyes, good luck getting a TS clearance. That's one of the biggest things that I've been told that they look for.
Yeah, no, I mean that's how those people get compromised. You can read about there's stories out there from forever about people that work for the federal government that were bought, right? They were either bought by sex, bought by money. And once again, that's how they get it, right? That's back to like that insider threat idea where why would a country if a country wanted to, who was that guy, man, I think he worked for the FBI or whatever, but anyway, if you're a country and you want to find out something about some type of national security secret or something, that layered security plan is so big, it's easier to just find this guy and he's got he's in debt way over his head, he's got a family, he doesn't know what to do, he's freaked out, all right, we can just buy this guy off or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, so you look at is it Pavlov's hierarchy for human assistance, right? And it's your family, it's food, water, shelter is at the bottom of the pyramid there, and then you kind of go up through family, beliefs, ideology, and money's one of the top ones. So as you look at that, most people, if it's they're struggling financially to support their family, keep that roof over their head, or keep that status quo image, it's the money. I know we've had a few here in the U.S. recently. That's over like the last month and a half. You had an retired SF, I think it was a major in 10th group. Before he even went to SF selection and joined the Army, he was already a Russian agent. You just had a CIA agent who was, giving secrets to the Chinese. So does it happen at even in the highest levels of our government? Absolutely. Nothing is perfect. And so that's why it's important to do those due diligence reports, to do those background checks constantly, and sometimes just randomly too. And then as an employee, we always say, hey, you see something, say something. That's kind of with a war on terror. But hey, man, if your employee is sitting there acting weird, or, it seems off, you may have known them for 5 years, and these last 2 years, things are different. They're traveling more, just those little telltale signs that you hear about. That's something, especially in those high, whether you're in a Fortune 500 company or just any company really, that's dealing with some type of intellectual property. It's probably something you may want to talk about, at least bring up to management's attention. Not in a way to get rid of them, but just, hey, this isn't passing the smell test.
Yeah. And once again, kind of goes back to what I kind of mentioned earlier about, you think about whatever business you work for, right? That's your team, right? So you got to keep that team mentality of, that we got to keep the team safe. We got to keep this business safe. Over, maybe I'm scared to talk to this person about it, but maybe I should talk to this person about it for the benefit of the team, right? Yeah. So,
Ethan, man, I think a lot of great points, man. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing this. I know it's not easy talking about a super, target,
secure facility, yeah.
Secure facility that you did, and hopefully we didn't push you too hard. Definitely didn't want to divulge anything that shouldn't be divulged. So appreciate you coming on, man. I think we had a great discussion just talking about security and how it really doesn't matter if you're a high value target or a facility and your home. I think you drew that parallel so good for everyone just thinking about, do it at home, so thank you for that. We'll kind of mention, I just kind of want to talk about this as we start closing out, like what your current positions are. So you work for bar membership. What is that?
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for having me, man. I had a really good time with you guys. And I got some recommendations I'll get with Will about concerning another guest or something like that. But anyways, what I'm doing right now, right? So I'm the operations manager for a company called Bar Membership in North Carolina. What Bar Membership does is it is a technology platform that keeps North Carolina private membership bars in compliance with alcohol law enforcement. So like for however many years it was done on paper, you go into this bar, you get they ask for your driver's license, you fill out an application, you charge you something for this membership card. Well, Bar Membership made that completely electronic. So a couple of like the big benefits of it are really it made everyone's life easier. It made the bar owner's life easier because per law they have to keep all these paper applications on site and store them on site. So, some of these people have hundreds of thousands of members. It was impossible without getting it, almost impossible, right?
Yeah.
You got to get into the digital world here, right? And so that's what we do. But, it also kind of acts as a marketing tool because the app on the iPad scans the barcode on the back of the driver's license. That's what happens when they become a member. So it can be beneficial for the bar business owner as well on that type of end.
Yeah. I'm sure that has its own security challenges too, right? With everyone's PI.
Yeah, well, man, and our stuff is all HIPAA FINRA compliant. So it's once again, it's as secure as you're going to get in the digital world. All our data is. So
awesome, man. Well, awesome. Again, man, thanks for coming on. Anything you want to throw out to our listeners before we wrap this up?
No, I mean, I don't know. Just, 2020 is crazy. So,
It is. And who knows what
stay safe and keep a layered security profile.
Who knows, who knows what after election, what it's going to look like. So, yeah, man. Well, awesome, man, dude. Totally appreciate you coming on. Thank you. We'll be in touch. And you and Will are friends, so I apologize for that.
Yeah.
But thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Man. You're very welcome, man.
Just want to let everybody know we do have our YouTube channel. You can check us out at Security Matters with the Coffee Squad on YouTube. You can see all of our smiling faces. You can also follow us and subscribe at coffeesquadpodcast.com or just search your favorite podcast platform for Security Matters with the Coffee Squad and subscribe to us, listen. Also, give us a like and follow on Facebook at Coffee Squad Podcast, and we are on Instagram at coffee_squad_podcast. Leave a comment, share with other like-minded individuals. Let us know any subjects you want to hear about or talk about. We're always open to it. We have a pretty good subject list. We're about, 6 months out now, I think.
Yeah, out to end of January, Will.
Yeah, end of January. So, we got our stuff coming up, but, we're always flexible, and if something comes up, we're more than willing to take it on. So, Ethan, thanks for coming. It's good talking to you again. So,
yeah, you're welcome, man. Thank you so much, too.
Awesome, guys. Hey, I really appreciate it. You guys have a good one, and thanks to our listeners and followers out there. So, yeah.
All right,
see you
thanks.
guys later.